Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar hosted by Caring.com. Today, we are excited to have Wendy O'Donovan Phillips, the CEO of Big Buzz, joining us today. And she's going to discuss the full Monty, which is how you can take left brain and right brain individuals on your marketing team and apply their talents for the best outcomes. As we begin today's presentation, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. So first off, this is a one-way webcast, meaning that only the presenters will have both audio and video throughout today's presentation. The main question that we are always asked is, will this be recorded? And the answer is yes. We are recording today's presentation, and we will distribute that out as well as the slides following our presentation this week. We will be hosting a live Q&A during today's session. So at any point during today's presentation, please submit your questions using the Q&A feature within Zoom. Now, for anyone who is not already familiar with Caring.com, Caring.com is a portfolio of websites geared towards helping online searchers find information when it comes to senior living and home care options for them. So our mission is to help as many seniors and their caregivers as possible through empathetic expert guidance as they search for care services. And thousands of senior living communities and home care agencies partner with Caring.com to reach their target audience who are actively looking for care solutions online. Now, one of the many reasons that care seekers turn to Caring is for our high integrity reviews program, where we have over 350,000 reviews. Now, my name is Olivia Duke, and I'm the B2B marketing director here at Caring, and I'll be serving as the moderator for today's presentation. More importantly, I'm excited to present Wendy O'Donovan Phillips, who is our subject matter expert today. She's the CEO of Big Buzz, a senior living focused marketing agency, and Wendy has over 15 years of experience helping senior living sales and marketing teams. And she has a true passion for educating, which has led her to write a book as well as develop several guides and presentations designed to empower senior living sales and marketing teams, such as the one that we'll be sharing here today. Now, as I mentioned, Big Buzz is a marketing agency geared towards helping senior living, specifically marketing teams and sales teams. And they were founded in 2007, meaning they just celebrated their 15 years in business. Now, without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Wendy to cover the learning objectives for today's presentation.
Thanks so much, Olivia. Thanks for having me. Right, so glad you guys are here. And what we're going to cover today is I want for you to walk away really understanding how to engage those left brain thinkers on your team, those analytical folks, specifically to complete strategic marketing planning for your organization. So often in senior living, there's either an esoteric marketing plan or a very, very detailed marketing plan, but not necessarily a strategic one-page marketing plan that's a living document that can be sort of re-upped quarter over quarter. So we'll cover that. Secondly, I want for you to walk away understanding how to engage the right brain thinkers on your team. And those are those creative types, the ones who are probably thinking colors as opposed to numbers. And those folks are going to be your ally in enhancing all your marketing efforts with storytelling. So we'll cover that today. And then we'll finish up. I will share with you, we're really known for benchmarking the marketing industry and senior living. And so I'm going to share with you some deep industry insights that we've gathered on marketing calls to action that really work in this industry. And then we'll finish with Olivia guiding us through some live questions and answers. So there will be time for that. So what is the challenge that we're trying to resolve here? In my experience, a team like yours typically has an internal marketing team and maybe one marketing agency that is really focused on the creative side of things, and another marketing agency that's like the digital analytics marketing side of things. Those two might be just one agency that you're working with. And then, of course, you have your CEO and COO who sometimes have a thing or two to say about marketing. And how this typically looks in the teams that we work with is the internal marketing team is, doing the marketing planning, doing some of the design and copywriting, certainly training the team, overseeing processes and quality assurance in marketing, and providing overall creative direction to the marketing agencies. That's just an example, but that's typically what we see. Maybe they have the first marketing agency overseeing the brand, the creative, process, and quality assurance as it relates to brand and creative. That marketing agency may have a hand in marketing planning, maybe doing some strategic marketing planning along with your internal team. They're really adept at storytelling through brand, and then maybe they're helping with some design and copywriting as well. And then perhaps your second marketing agency is overseeing that digital marketing and analytics, as I said. They might be saying, what brand, what creative direction? There may be some things lost in translation there. We often see that. If that's the case for you guys, you're not alone. They too are doing some design and copywriting. So you can see where we've got 3 different players here with hands in design and copywriting. Is our quality assurance really what it needs to be across the board? So we'll discuss that. They're doing execution, data analysis, and results measurement. And then this is what we often see: your CEO or the COO kind of pops her head in or his head into the marketing office and says, I've got some ideas, when you kind of thought where you had everything dialed down and moving in the right direction. And that can sometimes derail things. So all of this happening without strategic marketing planning and without a cohesive storyline throughout all of the marketing can sometimes turn into this jumbled up mess. My team, when they proofread my slides, always ask me, is this supposed to look like this? It is, because this is sometimes what it feels like, right? That there's all this output. And why is it that at the end of the day, I can't put my finger on precisely A to Z what happened in marketing and what outcomes we achieved? So we'll talk about that too. All right, so left brain versus right brain. Here's a good visual for you. Your left brain thinkers on the team are integrators. That's what the entrepreneurial operating system refers to left brain thinkers as integrators in business. These folks are very detail oriented. They keep the team productive. They resolve conflicts. They execute plans, and they maximize results. And then your visionaries are your right brain thinkers. Again, they're thinking, and the visual I think is really helpful. Like, I'm a right brain thinker in my family, and I think in colors. Like that illustration of that side of the brain, I think looks like what my brain, how it assembles information. And then my daughter and my husband are both left brain, very analytical people. And we have this conversation all the time, that they think in numbers and in drawings like schematics. My husband thinks in schematics, like what you see here. So on the right-hand side, the right brain thinkers, these are your visionaries. They are passionate. They are drivers. They are starters, right? Not necessarily finishers, but they're starters. They are good at brainstorming ideas, sparking creativity. Your CEO is probably a right brain thinker in many cases. And then your COO, Director of Operations, or Chief Operating Officer, is usually a left brain thinker, right? Ideas, operations. Your visionaries or right brain thinkers are great at launching campaigns and fueling growth. So together, these are very, very strong assets. And now we'll explore how to make the most of them. What does left brain work look like? This is integration work. Your left brain thinkers are going to be great at marketing planning. They're going to be great at digital marketing and analytics. They'll really thrive with data analysis and results measurement. They're natural born trainers. And then they're really great at monitoring process and quality assurance. On the flip side, the right brain visionary work, these folks are really good at work like brand development, creative direction, storytelling, design, copywriting, and execution. So you're starting to get an idea for who is a left brain thinker and who is a right brain thinker on your team. This is a little booklet that we have. I usually, when lecturing in person, I usually hand out copies of this. If you'd like a digital copy of this, I'm happy to send it over to you, and I'll give you an opportunity to get in touch with me. At the back of the book, there's a little space for notes, but just on your own, in your own little notebook, grab a piece of paper or a notebook and make a little matrix like I have on the right-hand side here. One side saying left brain and the other side saying right brain. And start to write down the names of folks on your collective team, not just your internal team, but the names of folks on the internal team, any marketing agencies you're working with, any freelancers you're working with. Write down these folks' names. Are they right brain thinkers? Are they left brain thinkers? This will help you to apply your learnings today. So what is the solution? How do we make all of these, how do we support all of these folks in accurately executing the marketing in the most efficient way possible? Think about on your team, who in the internal team, maybe internal team member number 1 is an integrator and internal team member number 2 is a visionary. And maybe not, like maybe you only have an integrator on the internal team, but start to think through that and then think through, okay, it could be as simple as our first marketing agency is digital marketing, so they're more left brain. And then our second marketing agency is more brand content and social media marketing, so they're more right brain. It could be that simple, or you might need to break that down further where, you know, Alice with agency 1 is a left brain thinker and Robert with agency 1 also is more of a right brain thinker. But just start to create that visual of, and as I said, usually your COO is a left brain thinker and integrator, and your CEO is more of a visionary or a right brain thinker. That's not always the case, but usually that's the case. So just start to think of that visual of who do we have on the collective team. So left brain integrator, your COO is really great at the integration work. So that's the work of, you know, overseeing the budgeting, overseeing hiring and firing, overseeing all of the different departments, overseeing all of the facilities and the service work and the care philosophy, right? Your internal team member 2 maybe is really good at marketing planning, training, process QA. So start to think about how you can break this down even further. Once you get sort of you'll have your list of left brain thinkers and right brain thinkers, then you can break that down into bubbles of, you know, who on the team is right versus left, further visualizing it that way. And then start to think about what is the actual work that each one of these folks or each one of these entities is best at. Maybe your marketing agency number 2 is best at digital marketing, analytics, data analysis, results measurement, etc. You get the idea. This way, you will have a much clearer idea of how to put the right work in the right hands of the right person on the right seat on the bus, right? So when the CEO, for example, comes in the middle of a marketing planning strategy session, you're doing a quarterly pulse session. I'll get to that in just a moment. You're doing a quarterly marketing planning session. Internal team member 2 is leading that session because she is your marketing planning left brain thinker. CEO pops her head in and says, I have an idea. And then your team can say, your internal team member number 1, right underneath CEO, who's in charge of creative direction, can say, thank you so much, Sally. We want your idea. I'm going to record that idea and take that down. And then we will integrate it. Internal team member number 2 will work to integrate it into the right place in the marketing plan, if it makes sense at this time. We want to slow marketing activities down a little bit in this way. We tend in this industry to fire and then aim, right? Just keep producing all of the ads and keep producing all of the content and then, you know, I have lots of thoughts and ideas. It's a whole nother lecture probably for next year on artificial intelligence and how it fits into the equation. But between AI and social media, it's having us marketers move even more quickly. And I pose that we need to deliberately slow down our process and say, who is the person in charge of this part of marketing? Why is that person in charge? And then what do we do with the ideas, the projects, all of the things that are flinging around all of the time, the whirlwind, as it's called in the Franklin Covey universe, the whirlwind. What do we do with all of those parts and pieces? There is a place for each one of them if we just slow down and focus the right people on the right areas of marketing. A little bit about me. Olivia gave a great introduction, and I appreciate that. I always like to say I was once young, just like you, and I will one day be old, just like you. And I am ever fascinated by the senior living industry, one, because it is growing very, very quickly, and any industry that is growing quickly needs a lot of support in again, grounding marketing and understanding what is working well in the industry so that we're not just shooting from the hips. So that's really what my passion is and what I've dedicated my career to doing. And I'll give you access to all of our ebooks. I've also, as Olivia pointed out, and as it says here, I've authored a book that's available on Amazon. If you'd like a copy of that, you can reach out to me and I can mail you a copy. But enough about me, back to you. All right, so let's look at strategic marketing planning tools for left brain thinkers. So this is where my left brain thinkers in the digital room here are sitting up and taking notes, taking copious notes. But also, like, if you are a right brain thinker, think, like, put yourself in the shoes of the left brain thinkers on your collective team. Again, collective team, not just internal team, but everybody who has a hand in marketing. Think of them and how they might apply this as I move through this. And Olivia is recording this, so you could certainly share it with the left brain thinkers in your on your team as well. All right, so this is what we do at Big Buzz. We surveyed hundreds of senior living marketing executives because I was curious what works best in marketing planning and why. Again, there's so much of, shooting darts in the dark. Sometimes we don't even know that we're doing it. I get into it myself, even with my own business, because the cobbler's son has no shoes. And so we have to work really hard to get those shoes on the cobbler's son's feet. Because it's one of those slippery slopes where we feel busy doing marketing. But then when we take a step back, we say, why are we doing what we're doing? And to what effect is it actually working? So the question I have for you is, do you have a tactical plan or a strategic marketing plan? There's no right answer to this. It's just an exploration. But on your left-hand side, what your left brain thinkers are going to be really good at doing is pulling together a strategic marketing plan. This marketing plan outlines actions or strategies like launch the social media strategy, improve the PR strategy. Strategy is just another word for action. It's one of those words that's overused in marketing. So I always like to clarify that strategy just means action. Post one post is not a strategic action. It is a tactical action, but a strategic action is something that it's going to take me a quarter or a whole annual period to make this happen, right? A strategic marketing plan, line items will need research completed in order to gather data that will inform each strategy. So before launching a social media strategy, you'd want to do an audit of what have we posted in the past on social media and what's worked well. Before launching a brand, you want to gather voice of the customer data. Before launching a marketing plan, you want to gather programmatic survey data to understand exactly how those who are looking for you find you before you start investing or continue to invest in the areas that you're investing. Each line item on the strategic marketing plan requires insights from multiple parties. So improving the PR strategy, for example, you would probably need insights from the CEO, the COO, anyone who's attending events, anyone who has had a hand in any part of the public relations strategy in the past, right? You have to gather all of those people together and align them in their thinking so that you can move the strategy forward in a way that they're bought into and that will be lasting. Line items, again, will need a full quarter at minimum to be fully completed. They can be measured against high-level company objectives like increasing brand awareness or acquiring locations or increase in revenue or increase in profit or increase in investor dollars. They are not measured. Strategic marketing plan line items are not measured in census. They are not measured in census. It's usually a very high level organizational goal. And I emphasize that because we see that mistake often made in the senior living industry, that they're measuring against occupancy. And that's a short-term lag measure that, if all you did in a year or 3 years period with your marketing plan was just get to, 90 to 100% occupancy, but not grown the company, then your investors would probably have some questions. Once completed, the strategic plan moves the organization closer to its annual or 3-year goals. So it really is a mechanism. The entrepreneurial operating system calls this a cadence of accountability. It's a mechanism for, and then to use a Franklin Covey term, it's a mechanism for keeping your flywheel turning, right? And keeping the folks responsible for it. What's the word I'm looking for? Accountable for it. And then by contrast, your tactical plan, both are necessary. Your tactical plan, your right brain thinkers are going to be great at executing your tactical plan. So your tactical plan lists tactics like ads, SEO, social media posting, it's like the day-to-day activities. The line items don't require any research. The research is done because the strategy is finished and baked. Each line item is very easily assignable to one person. Tammy, you're going to go do the social media posting. Russ, you're going to go write all of our content, etc. Line items can be completed in a week or less. Again, there's a cadence of accountability. Russ, you're going to write 1 blog post per week, and you write 1 ebook per month. So line items can be completed in a week or less. Can be measured in opens, clicks, or visits to the website. And then once completed, the tactical plan gets the organization to its short-term goal. This is where your occupancy goal comes in. Your tactical plan is getting you there. So this is another way to align your right brain and left brain thinkers to move the strategic marketing plan forward. In the booklet that you have access to, again, I'll give you access to me, and then you can ask me for a digital copy of the booklet and I'll send it to you. There's more information in here on the strategic marketing planning model from our study. Marketing planning. So what we found in our study is it's best to set only 1 goal, 2 at most. This really focuses the team. And I'm going to show you a 1-page marketing plan that outlines all of this for you. And again, feel free to take screenshots, and there are all kinds of resources on our website that can get you started with this. So 1 or 2 goals, this focuses the team. Sean Covey wrote in the 4 Disciplines of Execution, these goals make all of the difference. Failure to achieve them renders all other efforts inconsequential. So these are revenue, profit, growth goals. Clear. The marketing plan is clear. A 15-word goal is what we're looking for. So nix the 7-page, and I have seen a 7-page strategic plan for 7 departments in favor of 1 15-word big important goal. As Brene Brown wrote, clear is kind. Plus, folks can get behind a goal that they fully understand. If they don't understand the goal, they can't get behind it, and they certainly can't reach it. Documented. It's written for all to regularly see. It's a living, breathing document that is revisited week over week, month over month, quarter by quarter. So once everyone agrees on the goal, you'll document it using the 1-page plan. This can only be followed by all if it's documented and regularly reviewed. I suggest review of the 1-page marketing plan at all hands meetings, marketing team meetings, and marketing executives team stand-ups. It's good to have what we train when we're working with teams is have 1 person read aloud the goals, 1 person on the team, and then invite a team member to share how another team member took bold action towards achieving it. So it doesn't have to be repeated in a really rote way, like now I'm going to redo the marketing plan. Make it exciting, make it a part of your community and a part of your culture. And then these micro conversations add up to traction for the team. High level. So the goal focuses on revenue or profit growth. This is our formula for developing your big important goal. Increase what type of marketing? Awareness marketing, nurture marketing, or intent marketing? In order to increase usually revenue or profit from X to Y by this month and day, usually 3 years from now. You can do a 1-year goal, but 3-year goals are much more effective in creating your quarterly accountability. Very often senior living executives and operators suggest the goal should be focused on closing that census gap. We say that's short-sighted. If 3 years from now, all we did was achieve higher occupancy, you'd be disappointed, your investors would be disappointed, etc. So go big. It's a big, important goal. Anchor your goal in increasing revenue, profit, or number of communities for stronger long-term results. It's like if any of you guys have kiddos or you yourself are in Taekwondo, when they train martial artists to break through the board, they say like push past the board, right? So if we set a census goal, we're going to reach this census goal, then what we typically do is come right in underneath the goal. But when we set a big, important goal that's around, we're going to double revenue in the next 3 years, or we're going to double the number of, we're going to add 10 new communities by next year. We had a client do that. Then you're pushing way past a census goal, right? And you're achieving that too, because it's part of the plan. I'll show you where that fits in, but you're coming up, you're pushing through the board. All right, so what sort of data can you put behind marketing planning? Certainly your customer service responses show you how you can improve. They are more reactionary than proactive. So you also want to look at voice of the customer data. So surveying, and I outline very clearly how to do this both in an ebook and in my book that you're welcome to have. So surveying the people who your current families and residents about what do you value most about us, and then papering your world with that through your marketing planning. And then programmatic surveys. I mentioned this earlier. This is surveying folks who don't yet know you, but could be residents in your area. Artificial intelligence program. We prefer Pollfish. There are others out there, but that's a great way to run programmatic surveys to find out how people in general are finding you. All three of these are really great data points for your left brain thinkers to sink their teeth into and inform their decisions on marketing planning. When you put this data behind marketing planning, when your left brain thinkers put this data behind marketing planning, and then your CEO comes in and says, I have an idea, then your left brain thinker, the person in charge of marketing planning, can say, let me look at the data and can I get back to you? Again, slowing that process down, right? Like giving it a beat to say, before we make that decision, why are we making that decision? And then how will that change our trajectory towards or away from the outcomes that we're looking for? These are the top 10 initiatives found in senior living marketing plans. Not a big surprise that social media marketing and advertising are leading the charge, followed by referral marketing. It's a very relationship-based sell. And I just always like to add a grain of salt here. This was based upon our study, and by all means, look at your data before making decisions about investing, further into these areas, just because this is what the benchmarking shows. But it is a good sort of a lay of the land of how your competitors are investing. And then these are just a few KPIs. If when you have your left brain thinker look back at the recording, take a screenshot of this even, or have them come to this slide as she or he is developing the one-page marketing plan. Have them note these types of KPIs. So these are KPIs, key performance indicators, that your peers shared with us when we did our study. These are the things that they use when they're developing their marketing planning. So it's just sort of a little cheat sheet that, like, are we measuring these things? Should we measure these things? Will it show us our outcomes? So it's not a definitive list for you, but sort of a good cheat sheet for probably, I'd say, pick 3 to 5 of these for your one-page marketing plan. All right, so what the heck does the one-page marketing plan look like? It looks like this. The big important goal is plastered across the top. We will increase awareness marketing in order to increase revenue from X million to Y million by December 31st, 2026. So 3-ish year plan based in revenue. And in this case, it's about awareness marketing. How will we do that? 3 ways. There are objectives, strategies, and measures. Your objectives are the destinations that you're trying to reach that you've never reached before. Here are some examples from an actual client of ours. They always start with we are or we have. because that lets it be a destination. We are the preferred provider in our area. We are the trusted authority. And then we have strong internal sales and marketing systems. You're going to want to put strategies under objectives. So make sure to ask yourself, is this a destination that seems kind of far off? We haven't reached it yet, but when we reach it, it will make all the difference in getting us to that goal up there. Okay. We have. Strategies are the third area that will get you to your goal. The strategies are actions. Remember, strategies are just actions. So what actions do we need to take in order to reach those objectives, right? If you and I say, we're going to take a trip around the world, we're going to do 80 days around the world. Okay, great. So that's a good objective. Now what? Well, we have to take action. Who's going to buy the plane tickets? Who's going to do the lodging? Who's going to plan the meals? Who's right? Going to take action. So strategies look like this. In order to become the preferred provider, we'll conduct voice of customer surveys. We'll use the data to develop key messaging. We'll apply differentiating messaging consistently. How we'll become the trusted authority? We'll evolve our sales messaging. We'll build and deploy a robust social media strategy. We'll refine and evolve an educational content marketing strategy, and we'll launch a public relations strategy. And then how are we going to reach the destination of having strong internal sales and marketing systems? We'll process map all of our internal processes. We'll apply the functional marketing team model. We'll automate content marketing campaigns. All your strategies start with an action verb. It's sort of English 101, right? So an active verb: conduct, use, apply, evolve, build, refine, launch. Your left brain thinkers are going to take one look at this and be like, this is a cakewalk. I'll throw this, I shouldn't say throw this together. I will align the team in agreeing upon what goes onto this board and keep everyone on a schedule, a cadence of accountability for it. And then these are where your measures are. Like I said, choose 3 to 5, and they could be from this list. Choose 3 to 5 measures that you will be able to say, yes, we did, or no, we did not, in order to measure, did we reach that objective? So the measure for the first objective is increase occupancy. That's where the increased occupancy belongs. There's a place for it, but it's not at the top. And then the second one, increase buy-in rate. For this particular community, they were moving to a buy-in model rather than a lease model. And then increase sales qualified leads. Those are your measures. So write down 1 to 3 actions that your team can take to improve results from your marketing planning efforts. Again, circle and star that person's name who you think would be really great at doing this. And the correct, I should say, left brain thinker. Like I said, we'll take a look at something like this and be like, oh yes, they're probably going to either be very familiar or very, very comfortable with pulling this together and aligning the team. And then this becomes the song sheet from which everyone sings. You have quarterly pulse meetings, put this up on the board, go through top line goal. Can somebody share about how somebody else on the team helped us to reach that goal? You could do the same thing for each one of those objectives. For strategies, it's just a matter quarter by quarter of ticking off, okay, who was in charge of this particular strategy? Did you conduct those voice of the customer surveys? Okay, that's done. Tick off what's done, and then brainstorm again. All right, now what actions do we need to take this new quarter? What actions do we add? What strategies do we add quarter over quarter in order to continue that traction towards our objectives? And then measuring your measures quarter over quarter. All right, I said I'd give you access to all of my literature. If you go to bigbuzzinc.com/caring, you can access our full ebook library. The one that I would recommend for this particular segment is the one with the light bulb. It says a focus on strategic marketing planning for senior living. I would also recommend that you check out the dubious data on differentiation in senior living, the one with a little red airplane, because that one will do a deeper dive into like the surveys informing your marketing planning. Again, you can scan the QR code, or you can go to bigbuzzinc.com/caring, and I'll put this back up before we finish as we're doing question and answer at the end. And if you have questions as we go, feel free to throw them into the chat. All right, Let's turn our attention to storytelling marketing tools for right brain thinkers. This is where I reveal that I wear my heart on my sleeve and I wear my right brain on the outside of my head. You can see very clearly that I'm a right brain thinker because I really light up during this section. So again, we surveyed a different set of hundreds of senior living marketing executives to uncover why storytelling makes such a difference in marketing. And it makes a big difference. Your left brain thinkers are going to be like, yeah, storytelling, whatever. But your right brain thinkers understand that this is how marketing and brand comes to life. Here's what we learned. Your peers, the folks that we surveyed, suggested don't tell, show. So look at the difference between these two statements. A savory steak with king trumpet mushrooms is expertly plated and served with seasonal leafy greens fresh from the garden, as opposed to our dining options are second to none. If you can look at any statement in your marketing materials and ask yourself, so what, or how do I know? Our dining options are second to none. It's sort of an empty statement, right? Like, well, prove it is really what your reader is thinking. And by painting a picture with my daughter is an artist and I'm a writer, and I'll read some things that I write, and she'll say, it's like you're painting with words. Your right brain thinkers can paint with words, enable them to paint pictures of what your community life looks and feels and smells and that tactile. There's so much more to your community, I would pose, than what your marketing materials are showing. Certainly do custom photography, not stock photography, if possible. If you are using stock photography, I don't get anything for referring him, but use Tom Sanders because he does amazing stock photography that doesn't look like stock photography. And then beyond all else, really have your right brain thinkers paint this picture with the words. Here's another example. So don't tell, this was an actual client that we worked with. They said, our home is a collection of communities in the Southern United States that provides top quality assisted living and memory care services for older adults. We're leaders in senior living, setting high standards and providing long-term stability for each location. How do I know? Really? Prove it. Okay, so let's look at show. Come take a seat here with us on the wraparound porch overlooking the garden. That's right, make yourself at home. Smell the gardenia flowers. See the wisteria blowing in the breeze. It's nearly supper time. Come enjoy a savory bite of grilled salmon during our chef-inspired cooking class. Like, the reader feels like they're in the South. I didn't have to tell you we were in the Southern United States because we used words like supper and wisteria, right? So your right brain thinkers, this will come very, very naturally to them to paint these pictures of what your community is really offering. Why is it so important? In our research, 3 trends emerged. I get excited and then I get thirsty. Feeling. People define storytelling primarily as a means to evoke a feeling or elicit an emotional response. We must absolutely elicit an emotional response from someone before they're going to buy with us in senior living. Connectedness. Overwhelmingly, the data show that feelings are tied directly to a sense of connectedness. We want for your potential families and residents to land on your website, take in your marketing materials and say, yes, I just feel like I belong here. I feel like they get me before they even call you. Yes, that's possible with storytelling. And then guidance on the journey. I love this one. The data indicated that storytelling should take the reader from where they are now to someplace new. We have to do that in their minds and their hearts before they're ready to do that physically. So feeling, this makes you feel good. Connectedness, I belong here. And guidance on the journey. Yes, I, as the prospective resident or family member, will let you show me a new way. Again, in the booklet, you can get deeper insights into the compelling storytelling model and the data behind that. Our survey results indicate that 75% of your peers frequently use storytelling in marketing. And here are just a few considerations when doing so. You want to use the appropriate media throughout the conversion process. So this is a guide that we use in content marketing and social media marketing with our clients. There are 4 parts to the conversion process. For each of those parts of the conversion process, there is a specific business objective. It's not always to drive a conversion, take a tour. In fact, it's only that 25% of the time. And then there are very specific content types and media associated with each of those business objectives. So use those appropriate media. Again, this is a good place to take a screenshot and share this with your right brain thinkers. And again, it will come very naturally to them. They will take one look at this and say, that makes a whole lot of sense. I'll start doing it this way. And then they will also be quite adept at honoring various learning styles. Visual learners, enjoy those infographics, photography, videography. You've got your auditory learners. So video and audio clips are best for them. Writing learners will lean into blog posts, articles, case studies. Kinesthetic learners would engage with video tutorials on things like meal preparation, exercise. And then multimodality is a combination of one or more of these styles. And again, this may sound overwhelming to you, but the talented right brain thinker on your team will think of these as just, yes, I'm sort of naturally weaving that into these types of content and media. But it's a good reminder for them. So in any story, there's an arc from the beginning to the climax to the resolution. So my daughter and I just read To Kill a Mockingbird together, and now we're reading Go Set a Watchman. And Harper Lee and all of the great authors of our time always has a beginning, a climax, and then a resolution. So this is an illustration of that story arc across the experience that your resident and family members have into your community. It starts with social media and content marketing. That's where the prospects begin engaging with your story. Another word for story is brand, right? So where they're really engaging with your brand. Then your content can address specific prospect challenges before they even get in touch with you. So your prospects are going to gravitate towards a particular content marketing subject or 2 or 3 to solve challenges on their own. With really great automation software, like through Active Demand, for example, you can sorry, I lost my train of thought. You can gauge who is reading what, when. It's like a secret little code that I get to see, where I get to see who is reading what content for each community. So I see, Bill here is really taking in information about independent living. So I can lead with that when I talk to him, right? Or Tina is looking for, it looks like, memory care for her mom, because she keeps reading about family members and memory care. And you can see all of this through great marketing automation software. Next is the addressing of the rising prospect challenges. The prospect is ready to talk with you. And then the flip, this is the climax. The flip is a term that comes from Blair Enns, who wrote a little book called Win Without Pitching. And the flip is the moment the prospect decides to resolve their challenges with you and your community because they see you as the expert in solving their issue. Then there's addressing falling prospect challenges. The prospect has more specific challenges you can help resolve, like how do I downsize, and what can I bring my pet, and I really wanted to bring this armoire, but it's not going to fit. Are there other room options? Those sorts of things. And then resolution agreement. All the rising and falling challenges are for the most part resolved, and the prospect is ready to move in. And then moving in, tying up loose ends is your conclusion. So the story of move-in day is captured. Please, please, please capture those moments and have HIPAA compliant release forms signed so that you can amplify them back in your social media and content marketing for new residents. And then celebrate that move-in such a way that draws the family together and the resident into the fold of the community. So I just thought this is where I geek out. I love this infographic, because it just really shows start to finish how you can make the most of storytelling throughout each one of those points on the storyline. what it looks like in the end. So this is Sinceri Senior Living. Their brand mood board is on the left-hand side, and some of their brochures, their website, their content marketing. You can see that everything has a cohesive look and feel, and it is all about focus on family, because their voice of the customer surveys indicated that that is what they're best known for. So then it just becomes your right brain thinkers are just papering the world with that particular value proposition, that particular position that others don't necessarily occupy the way that you do. What sets you apart and differentiates you. This is Krista Senior Living, a few blog post, social post announcements, a piece of content, and website. Again, a distinct look and feel, stock photography that is not as stocky as some stock. If the budget doesn't allow for it, that's okay. There are ways around it, but you still want to tell a story. What overall story are we showing here? And this particular community is, of course, a Christian retirement living community, as you can see on the continuum of care. So we wanted to really weave that story throughout. This is one of my favorite stories to tell. Cedar Sinai Park is in Portland, Oregon, and they're best known for this fabric of humanity that extends over their 100-year history and is very much alive in the residents who live there today. That they are a Jewish faith-based community, but welcome folks of all walks of life. And just throughout their survey process, it really shone through that they were known for that sort of, fabric of humanity and really connecting people inside of their community. And so you can see where that story comes to life in our brand mood board, even just their, as simple as their letterhead design, their logo design. All right, so write down 1 to 3 actions your team can take to increase storytelling in your organization's marketing efforts. And then we're gonna conclude. I've got about 10 minutes of call to action information to share with you guys, and then we'll open it up for question and answer. Again, get access to those ebooks on the ebook webpage. You can scan through or go to bigbuzzinc.com/caring. The one that you really want to look at for storytelling is on the lower left. It says the complete data-driven ebook to storytelling marketing for senior living. It was one of our first ebooks. So admittedly, from a visual perspective, my team has evolved our storytelling capabilities in our ebooks, but it's one of the plainer ones down at the bottom there. But it is, I have written all but I think 3 of these ebooks. And the storytelling one and the dubious data on differentiation, that red airplane one, are my 2 favorites. I think that the data that your peers shared with us in those two books are just so eye-opening. So highly recommend those. Calls to action for all senior living marketers. So in a separate study, we surveyed 100 website development and online marketing experts. And we also audited the websites of the 10 largest senior living providers in the US to uncover precise best practices for marketing calls to action that actually bring older adults through your doors. Here's what we found. So again, in the booklet, and I promise you before we part ways, I will show you how to get in touch with me, and you can just ask for a digital copy of this book. I will give that to you. And then if you want a copy of the larger text, this is the text that's on Amazon, and I can send you a digital copy of that if you wish, or even a hard copy. So there's a deeper dive in your text on that. But our industry insiders indicated a very straightforward format for every call to action: headline, body copy, 1 to 2 buttons. That's it. So whether you have your right brain thinkers or your left brain thinkers on this, that's the formula. So this is the first example. You see the headline, body copy, 2 buttons. Very simple. Here's another example. Headline, body copy, button. Now that I've shown this to you, it's like when you have the conversation with your family about VW bugs, and then you just start seeing VW bugs all over everywhere. Now that you've seen this, you're going to notice on all the websites that you go to that this is how the calls to action are built. Headline, body copy, buttons. have the appropriate person on your team go through your website and make sure that your calls to action are following this format, because this is the format that gets the most conversions. That's why folks are using it. This one is from Sincere Senior Living's website. So headline, body copy, button. Here are detailed instructions on how to develop the call to action that our experts indicated is most likely to inspire connection. A value proposition, in this case, live your best life. That's the headline. Body copy. So this is on your connect page, or in this case, this was on the give page for fundraising. Either one, use this formula. Yes, I want to connect with an expert so I can get. Folks want to get things. Like they don't want to schedule things. They don't want a tour. I'm sorry to say it, but they don't want a tour. They want to get clarity. They want to get guidance. They want to get a clear vision. They want to get maybe some details, right? So yes, I want to connect with an expert so I can get clarity on my current situation and suggestions on how I can immediately improve my daily life. Your salespeople, when they're doing their work well, which I'm sure that they are doing that anyways. So tell folks that that's what, like they get a benefit out of interacting with your team, whether or not they move in. So tell them that. Second, expert guidance that will help me make great decisions for my future. Third, a clearer vision for reaching my desired future life, even if that doesn't involve moving. And yes, say that, like soften it up. Like we don't need, I think in this industry, we're very quick to be like tour, move in. It's a huge decision. Guide them along that storytelling journey, right? Even if it doesn't involve moving, let's have a conversation about what your vision is for your desired future life. I mean, the underlying message there is, I bet you it's probably here, right? I bet you that we could probably make that desired future life happen here, but no pressure, right? And then free initial details on a tour or what it might look like to join a senior living community. Again, keep it really open-ended. Folks are more likely to click on this call to action and take the next step, convert to a conversation with you, than take a tour or have a conversation or connect now. This is the one that gets the most conversions. I'm going to go back here for just a second and just give a few other highlights. All call to action buttons shall start with an action word. Get is the most clicked on button. I had a CEO in my lecture one time and I told him that, and he, like, by the following week, he had me on the phone with his director of marketing. He was like, we need to get on all of our calls to action. But it really is the most clicked on call to action action word. Downloadable assets should say download now, it's free. Most of your peers are not providing downloadable assets, and it's a great way to build your database, build trust, build your marketing automation, there's so much goodness that comes out of that, and educate and provide service to the people who need you now. Content marketing signups shall bear the CTA subscribe. This is a manifesto that was developed from that study that we did when we surveyed 100 experts in website calls to action. Let's see some of the others. Oh, one of my favorites is call to action buttons shall be round, not square. Don't ask me why, but people click more often on round call to action buttons than on square ones. And use a contrasting color. So see how I think this is, I was going to say this is enterprise, but no, it's for entrepreneurial. I forget who. Oh, Keep. I'm sorry. This is Keep. You can see that what they want you to do is they want you to try it for free, but you can also see the demo. But it's very clear visually what they want you to do. So contrasting color here. Yeah. All right, so only 20% of industry leaders use the call to action download now. It's free for downloadable assets. Request your brochure. Not sure which type of care you need, take our care questionnaire. When these are done with in a conscientious way, particularly your right brain thinkers will be really great at pulling something like this together. They're very, very effective senior lifestyle option quiz in engaging folks to take the next micro step on your website. So they don't have to take a tour. They're not likely to land on your homepage and then take a tour. They're likely to land on your homepage, stick around for 2 or 3 other pages, maybe spend 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes on your website. And something like this allows them to stay longer and engage longer and learn more about you and get, again, that feeling of, I feel like I belong here. I feel like I could take the next step in exploring how they could take me from point A to point B. So don't be shy about adding downloadable assets. I often am asked the question, but isn't it rude to ask people for their email addresses? Isn't it like holding them hostage? Sure, if your content isn't very good, but your content is very good. Your right brain thinkers are developing really great content and have the talent to continue to do that. So have them pull together, whether it's a informational brochure or a care questionnaire or a lifestyle option quiz, something along an ebook. There are all kinds of ways to create downloadable assets that are really valuable to your audience. And then as they're downloading, their email addresses are automatically going into an automation system like Active Demand or HubSpot. And then you're able to curate the right content moving forward for them throughout that storytelling arch. While many industry leaders included testimonial quotes on their websites, none placed the quote near the website call to action button, which is where our industry insiders say is best. So this is a lovely quote, and it would be better to be placed right underneath the phone number. There's not really space for it there, so it'd have to be designed a little bit differently, but you get the gist that, like, when people are asked to take, and again, you'll see this on websites now, when people are asked to take action, they're like, prove it to me. Why would I do that? And the quote helps. Like, we're all shopping for everything, care, dentistry, everything. Like, we shop for shoes. Like, I want to know what my peers think before I click the next button. So tell them. All right, so write down 1 to 3 things your team can do to sharpen calls to action if you have not already. And then here's access to me. So you can go to calendly.com, Wendy O. Phillips. You don't have to schedule a 30-minute call with me. That's intense. Even if you go there and just use that to send me a message, if you want any one of the texts, I can send you the texts. Or if you want to do a 30-minute call, I'm certainly available. I, as you can tell, am very geeky about the senior living industry, and I'm always very eager to learn from you guys. So there is that. And then I'll turn it over for question and answer. Olivia.
Thank you, Wendy, so much for covering that presentation. And I do think, even if you hadn't told us, it was very apparent that you lean with your storytelling skills, giving so much context, and really taking that framework and making it real. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. Well, at this time, please insert any questions that you have regarding today's content in the Q&A feature within Zoom. And I have a few here that we'll cover now. So one question we received is, how do I access the ebooks? So along that link, we'll share that out along with the recording and the slides in an email to all registrants. So,
and it would be easier, Olivia, if you just want to share my email address and folks can just email me directly if they want the texts only, and I can just send it off to them. That's totally fine.
Great. I will include that in the follow-up email as well. Perfect. And another question for you, Wendy. So I think we all know what today's environment is like. It's a lean economy. We're headed towards questionable time period. So what if there's really only one marketer on the team, and whether or not that marketer is left-brained or right-brained, how would you kind of deal with that and kind of cover both ends of the spectrum?
Yeah, it's a great question. When we only have 1 or even 2 team members, I just always like to encourage, and that is actually, I'd say, the norm, not even in lean economic times. I think in senior living for the internal team, we almost always see 1 or 2 people on the marketing team. And so use your resources. Like, you have other executives in the organization. Maybe there's somebody on the operational side or even in the care side who is very right brain thinker and like can give even like 10 minutes to like, can I just read this aloud to you? And can you give me some feedback? Or, can you just look at one or two and which one do you like better? It just helps to have more minds in the room than just the one. So lean on your CEO, lean on your COO. Certainly, like all of this is about aligning the people that you have, whether it's lots of marketers or a couple of marketers and some other executives and other team members. And then I will also say that like Upwork is really great for, if you need someone to help with anything from project management to copywriting, like you can find those folks there.
Great. So, here's an interesting question. So, how do you talk with potential residents and their families, depending on whether they are right-brained or left-brained thinkers?
I love that. So, and I think that it runs even deeper than that. There's a whole lecture that I do on just this, where we have to manage how we are, like our beliefs and our philosophies about life and our selling and learning styles. So it really, for what we train is, it's all about the open-ended questions. And it's all about getting to the heart of why is that important to them. So you'll have a resident or a family member come in and say, I'm interested in assisted living. Why is that important to you? Well, my mom is frail and she's a fall risk and we just need to explore some options. Well, why is that? Why is it important to you to have options? And then like the more that you ask that in a natural way, the more people let their guard down and the more people really open up to, well, actually what you should know is that when I was a kid, I had two sets of grandparents and one had no options, like financially or resourcefully for assisted living and had not a good end of life experience. And the other did. And so I want to know like all of the options so that I can make sure that my mom has a great end of life. Like now we're cooking, right? Like now we're really in relationships. So I think it goes beyond even right brain, left brain, but it would be a good question to ask. Like, would you think of yourself as more of a right brain or left brain thinker? But also, what are your beliefs and what's important to you?
Absolutely. Well, great. Well, another question we have, I'd love to touch on it too, because I think this is a great question. And, this is a marketing strategy topic. And I think a lot of times the industry poses using a lead aggregator or using a marketing agency. And I just want to preempt that by saying here at caring.com, we certainly encourage both. You want to use as many tools in your tool belt as possible to reach your goals. And so the way we think about it is this prospect, you might not have reached, had they not reached a website like caring.com, but now they're familiar with you, they're experiencing your marketing materials. So do you have any advice based on, the work you've done with your clients on how do you handle those prospects that are coming from a lead aggregator and how does that play into your marketing?
First, agreed wholeheartedly that both can make a whole lot of sense. And this is where I sort of hedge the answer, because I am more interested in what's appropriate for each of the communities that's on the line today than giving a specific prescription. There are communities that we have worked with that lead aggregators are working really well for them and they need minimal other outside marketing support. There are other communities that we work with that like the lead aggregators are not working for them in their particular location and they need more marketing support. And then there's all kinds of colors between those two black and whites, right? And so that really comes back to run those surveys, get the data, whether it's voice of the customer surveys, programmatic surveys, or both, will really give you good insight into how are folks really finding us, what of our current marketing mix is working well for us, and then replicate what's working well for you all and minimize what's not, but do it specifically for your community instead of just, well, generally this is what the industry is doing.
Right, absolutely. And kind of you spoke to the voice of the customer. So say someone has not been collecting any voice of customer data, where do you get started? How do you collect those insights?
Yeah. So if you are interested in that process, email me and I will mail you a copy of the big book. And that It's not that big, but that has detailed instructions on how to start. It's just about putting together survey questions, pulling together a list of possible survey respondents, and then sending it out over SurveyMonkey is a really great way to start.
Wonderful. All right. Well, it looks like that concludes our questions for today. We did have one just pop up. What is your email address? We'll send that in an email following this presentation with all that information for you. And
Well,
great. Well, and I just want to thank everyone so much for joining. We do welcome your feedback on today's presentation. So as this window closes, you will have a survey pop up. So please give us all of your feedback on today's webinar and any other topics that you'd like to hear from Caring. Thank you so much for joining Wendy and everyone here today. And we will let you all get back to the commendable work of helping seniors. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Olivia.